Hello, I'm Mickey, and I'm back with Inglorious Reviews for The Flash this week. So, here's some interesting things. This kind of episode again, much better than last week's episode, but not by much. Again, there's some good things in this one, bits and pieces, really. I think, really, this episode is really added details to what we already know. If you've watched my other episodes, other review episodes, or know the Wells Reverse Flash connection, we see that they're finding out about the body switching. They're finding out about, the time travel. That Wells isn't really Wells, it's Eobard Thawne in Wells' body, or in his form of body, for that matter. So nothing new there, at least for me. Maybe not, maybe for you, but it's quite interesting. So, Eobard Thawne's time is up. He needs to access the Speed Force or have some enhancement, and that's what we see at the trailer or the preview of the next episode. Is that thing he's wearing is basically an enhancement for him to probably gain speed or something. But he needs to be connected to Speed Force. With that, we have them finding his lair, which I think is really good, but they still don't know what to make any of it. Confirms Barry's suspicions. Cisco's on board. Caitlin, knows what's going on now. So that's good, but I find it annoying that it's that easy to find. Even if when he found it, it's like you think Harrison Wells, Eobard Thawne from now on, would basically be like, I'm gonna secret code this, only I know how to get in. But what happens? They can just like easily walk in. What kind of stupid thing is this? You want to keep your identity secret? I'm pretty sure you're gonna keep that door under like 6th degree locking mechanisms or something, Something along those, but no, he leaves it open, so his secret's out. Maybe he did deliberately, who knows? He's probably gonna kill some people, or at least try to. So, we got that. Then we have we had a nice crossover in this episode. I like that they're doing that in the Flash and Arrow cities. I mean, Starling Central, basically right next door, so it's nice to have the crossover, this time with West and Lance, and Cisco going over. And we see, I think, some foreshadowing for an Arrow episode, probably either tomorrow or next week, is the Canary Sonic Blaster that Cisco has basically reinvented for Laurel. So in the comics, if you don't know what Sonic Blaster is, it's basically, voice. It'll be a voice amplification or, noise amplification. In the comics, Canary she's basically, sometimes she has like a metahuman type ability where she can, yell, and it's like sound waves blasting out. But in this sense, it's going to be a collar wish. Same purpose. So we have that, which is really, I think, really cool. So we're going to see that going on. Yeah. So another little hint. We see in this episode that Barry's fighting skills have improved, which is quite entertained about. He's not kind of a dumpy person, just speeding around in circles. Yeah, I think the bulk of this episode would be talking about Wells and Reverse Flash and being Eobard Thawne and all that, but I've already gone over that in last week's episode. So if you really want to hear about it, I mean, I can make a whole episode, or you can just watch episode review 18 or something. Right? Talk about it, like, for a good amount of time. It's quite important. But, so we fill in details for this one. We have an interesting villain, if you want to call him villain. A shapeshifter who, is Hannibal. I don't remember his last first name. Hannibal Bates is what it is. And we have someone who can shapeshift, and he commits petty crimes. But he can't steal powers. So I think he's a better villain than B-Lady, but he can. There is a. So we have better than B-Lady, sure. But he shapeshifts, and it puts up a good fight. It's kind of a dragged on thing. More of, I think, the Hannibal Bates with Everyman, which he basically confirms for himself, which is nice. Is basically an introduction to the city police of saying, hey, these metahuman people are in everyday criminals now. We're gonna have to deal with them. It's a realization that they're not a fantasy anymore. They're real people committing real crimes. They're among us, type thing. I would think the whole city would know this already, but I guess there's still some doubt, especially in the police department. So we have that. Interesting thing about the Everyman, which I think they should have kept, but they didn't. In this episode, they made Everyman basically another metahuman from the particle accelerator. Particle, whatever. What they should have done is they kept the original story of Everyman, which is Everyman is Hannibal Bates, who basically gets into an experiment at LexCorp, Lex Luthor in Gotham, and is originally from Gotham City. And he's experimented on and is able to shapeshift. And Luthor does this for hundreds of people, giving them abilities that non-metahumans. I think they should have kept to that story instead, because why make everybody a metahuman? It's getting boring. B-Woman just didn't do it for me, though she wasn't a metahuman, but these people with powers, not everybody's going to be a metahuman. Not everybody should be. Kind of like the Pied Piper, Sonic Blasters, the Trickster, anybody from the Rogue Gallery, for the most part. So that's that. But yeah, this episode, good. Filled in details for people who didn't know what's going on. Kind of more of a entertaining type of thing when Mr. Shapeshifter Everyman is Barry Allen, or he's some of the other, or Eddie Thawne. Um, kind of brings us some of the interesting thing of what could have gone wrong. I mean, we see it with Caitlin and Barry afterwards. She's kind of iffy on things. But that's the end of this episode. Not much going on, nothing new. Next episode, there's a talk of, as we see, I think we're gonna see that battle I talked about 2 weeks ago of Harrison Wells or Eobard Thawne versus Flash versus the Flash. So next week's episode is gonna be great. Let's end that for now. So I will see you all next week sometime.